Good morning and welcome back to This McCrazy Wife. Today's video is going to be a fun fall cozy video. I have a cheeseburger soup recipe to share with you. And also, I just wanted to add in some of our fall decorations. I know we're all kind of getting ready to start decorating for Christmas, but I love the fall decorations and Thanksgiving decorations and just getting ready for just honestly my favorite time of year with Thanksgiving and Christmas and all of that. This morning we actually woke up to snow. So fall is almost on its way out here in Northeast Ohio and winter is on its way in. So it's really important to me because I can struggle with just the darkness of winter here in Northeast Ohio. We get a lot of snow, bitterly, bitterly cold. And sometimes I just will really start to miss spring and summer. So it's really important to me to make our home a cozy place that we enjoy being because we're home a lot in this time of year when you really don't want to go out and get cold. So it's fun to light a little fire in the little fireplace, turn on some lamps, and just enjoy being inside. Enjoy really just a period of rest because summer and spring are so busy and so fun. But this time of year, it's nice to maybe pull out your favorite crafting hobby or put a puzzle together and just do things that bring your heart joy, even though maybe looking outside doesn't make you quite so happy. But I like this time of year too, just to remember that there's so much to be thankful for. I know the world can seem heavy sometimes, but there's so much good still in this world, and we have a God that is so good. And I am just grateful for the life that He has blessed me with, the home that He has given us, and the family that I can take care of and make delicious food for. And that brings us to this part of the video where I'm going to show you my favorite soup recipe to make, which is this cheeseburger soup. Now, I've seen a few recipes for this soup, and I've been inspired by those recipes to really come up with my own recipe for adding in the things that we enjoy. So, we're starting off with 1 pound of ground beef, though I also love this made with Sam's Club's ground chicken. Both are absolutely delicious, but I had ground beef on hand this particular day, so that's what I chose to use. So, we're going to go ahead and brown up that ground beef. And then I add in some chopped onion. I try to dice this pretty small, along with some carrots and some celery. Now, I'm not putting amounts because honestly, it's however much you like. If your family really likes celery or really likes onion, add more. If they're like my family where it's like it's okay, but it's not their favorite thing, then I add in just a little bit less. So my ground beef is browned, and now I am throwing in 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to get that butter melting, and then I'm going to use that to saute my vegetables in. So I've got my diced onion and my diced celery that I'm now going to add in, and I'm going to start browning those and softening those. Now, for carrots, you can dice carrots. I happen to find these pre shredded carrots. I know people have a thing about bagged carrots. I don't have that thing. So I used them. They were absolutely delicious, and it made my life on this day because I was in a hurry. It made it so much easier than also having to dice up carrots. So we're going to keep stirring and just try to keep it from sticking too much to the bottom, which we're going to add chicken broth and that's going to pick up those bits off the bottom anyway. So it's no biggie. Those extra scraps that you saw me cutting off of the onion and the celery, I keep them in a bag just labeled for broth in my freezer. And I will pull that out at some point and make either vegetable broth or chicken broth. And it's just a good way to use up those scraps. So now I'm going to sprinkle in a 1/4 cup of flour and I'm going to go ahead and start stirring that up and letting that flour taste cook off. Now, some recipes have you just add flour in with your milk and put it all in at once. I don't like to do that because I do not want to taste that flour at all. So I tend to do it more this way, like you would with, I believe it's called a roux when you're making that, and you add in that flour first and get that cooked off. I'm throwing in some salt and some pepper And again, that is just going to be seasoned to your own taste. I don't measure any of that. If you like it more salty, add in more. Same with the pepper. Now it's time to add in 4 cups of chicken broth. And I add in a little bit slowly at first, just so I can pick up those bits that are on the bottom of the pot. And those are going to, along with the flour, that's going to help this soup to kind of start to thicken up. So now I'm just going to give it another good stir. Now, while my veggies were sauteing between stirring them, I did go ahead and I peeled and diced up some potatoes. My favorite potatoes that I've been using right now are yellow potatoes from Aldi. They have the absolute best flavor and they cook up so well in a soup like this. So I've already got those diced up and I'm going to go ahead and add those in with the rest of our veggies into our broth. I will have the ingredient list and the recipe listed in the description box below. I can add in some suggested amounts, but as far as the vegetables go, the potatoes go, the seasonings go, it really is just whatever it is that you think will be delicious. At this point, I am going to add in some dried parsley. Now, I add it in here. I kind of put it into my hand and crush it up a little bit so that it's not big pieces of the dried parsley. I stir it in with a bit more salt and pepper. But this is where it's going to be really important that as your soup is cooking, you just start tasting it and you decide if it needs more salt, if it needs more pepper, or if it needs more parsley, or if you want to add in any other seasonings, you can certainly do that as well. Now, I am going to bring this up to a boil. Then I'm going to reduce the heat and put the lid on, and it is going to cook until the veggies are nice and soft and the potatoes are soft. The potatoes, that's gonna depend on what type of potatoes you use as to how fast they cook. These yellow potatoes, they cooked up pretty quickly, which was another thing I really like about these. But I get a spoon and it's time to start tasting that broth to see if it needs any more seasonings. I do like to keep the seasonings simple in this soup with just salt, pepper, and parsley. But now is the point that we're going to add in some baby spinach and some milk and then some cheese. This was the cheese I had on hand, this triple cheddar, but you can use regular cheddar or whatever really kind of cheese you want to add into your soup. So I am going to give the baby spinach just a rough chop. Um, Really, when I put this on the board, I should have kind of rolled it up and then sliced it up that way, but I was rushing and really not paying attention. So this was way more complicated than it should have been. But I just give it a very rough chop just so you don't have really large pieces of spinach on your spoon when you're trying to eat your soup. Now, before I add in my spinach, after I've given this a stir, I'm going to kind of break apart one of those potatoes just to make sure that they're nice and soft. You don't want them so soft that they're just falling to pieces in your soup, but you certainly want them to be good and tender. So at this point, I'm adding in 1 3/4 cups of milk. I prefer 2% milk, but you certainly can use whichever kind of milk that you want. And then we're going to add in those couple handfuls of spinach, and we're going to add in the 1 cup of cheese. Now, some of the recipes I've seen for this add in kale or they leave out spinach altogether. It's not even in there, but I think it definitely gives it something that just makes it really good. A lot of recipes will call for a lot more cheese, and certainly you could add more cheese if you want to, but I think 1 cup is perfect, and it does keep this soup lower in points on Weight Watchers. When I have the soup, it's 5 points for a bowl of this, and absolutely 100% worth it. But the cheese, if I put in more cheese, it would certainly make it higher in points. I did go ahead and add in some more parsley and some more salt and pepper, and then we're just gonna give it a final stir and then a final taste test just to make sure that you're happy with how it tastes. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna be happy with how this tastes. Like I said, this is my absolute favorite soup to make. This is one that I will make in the summertime because I made it with fresh spinach out of our garden, but it is a fantastic cozy soup for fall and for winter. I like to serve soup like this with some homemade sourdough bread. I think that your family is really going to enjoy this one, and I hope that you'll give it a try. Please consider subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate each and every one of you. So thanks again for watching this McCrazy Wife. I'll see you next time.